So I don't know how long this video is going to be. I always say quick, and it's never quick. Quick, in my estimation, is like 5 to 7 minutes max. Usually mine's a 15, 20, or a 5-part series of like 30 minutes apiece, something crazy of that nature. But one thing that I wanted to talk about real quickly, preserve this information, of course, for people that come after us, and to hopefully impress some on the minds of the people that are watching today in this era and time. People always ask the question, like, what happened to us as a community, and there's a lot of theory, there's a lot of facts. It's not one single thing. It's a collection of many different things. Family structures are proven to put children in a better position in life. There's a disciplinary factor that comes with having a man in a home if that man is squared away, of course. I'm not going to say just having one there is an automatic solution or some type of magic trick, because it's not. We talk about, I talk about the effect that the community actually has on the child, and also the culture and values within the home. But we're at a point now where people are celebrated for being violent. Like, a lot of folks are unaware of this, but if you are a shooter or a killer, you're known in the streets, and you're known in a good way. You're honored, you're looked up to. You're the man in that particular neighborhood or community, wherever you reside, wherever they know your name. You're the man because of the fact that you don't care about life. So folks ask the question, like, how did we get there? How did we get to a point where that's a celebrated thing? Like, this is a real thing, and this is a national thing. I can speak for America. I've been from one corner to the other, and a lot of places in between. I know I'm in the 30s as far as states visited, and I always look. I'm a sociologist in that matter. I always go to the hood. Anybody that ever travels me knows that that's one thing they can count on me for. I do what nobody else does. I go to the hood. If I'm a tourist, I'm going to the hood. I'm going to the hood because I want to see. It wasn't that I was looking for any type of data that would support the way I thought. I didn't think. This is over a period of, I thought, but, I didn't have the experience that I have now. But you're talking about over a period of maybe 30 years that I've been traveling by myself, going to different places by car, and visiting the neighborhoods, or by car and plane, because I worked for the airlines for about close to 3 years of my life. So I traveled heavily during that time. But at any rate, how did we get there? Like, how do we get to a point that it's celebrated, where being a savage or a demon, as they call themselves, two terms that folks in the street call themselves, is a celebrated thing. And I saw the culmination of events over the course of my lifetime that led up to then, because there was, at one point, there was integrity, being a person of honor, a hardworking. Hardworking was a revered quality and character in a man. I'm talking about the Black community specifically. That was a big thing for a man. Then, we had the hustling culture that took over from that. And not that hustling is a bad thing, but the hustling that they were doing was a bad thing. Basically, like, your agents bringing poison into your own communities and killing people, under the guise of, I got to feed my family, when there's 1,000,001 hustles out there that are legal and that are always needed. Always needed. You know what I mean? So, just to throw that out there, that's not an excuse. But I remember the same people today, from back in the day, hollering, fussing, and cussing, acting a damn fool, celebrating ignorance, causing havoc and chaos in their neighborhoods. It may have been on a smaller scale, but degradation, right? Things continue to get worse if a behavior is practiced over especially a length of time like half a century, because that's what I'm speaking of, from the like 1972, let's say, till today. Um, the culmination of all of these different things, of these people with these same attitudes, don't want to work, um, will disrespectful, ignorance, looking at a person who is studious, who is concerned with their academics, as being a goofball and a lame and a punk, those type of things. Given that work ethic in as far as matriculation is concerned, as far as schooling, given that work ethic in any school, and I'm not talking about just college, I'm talking about, from elementary on up, oh, he a lame, he a goofy, all these negative connotations, it was coming from a small group of people. I wouldn't even say 10% of the population, but what we did today, we gave those same people with that same mentality the mic, and now they're speaking for us as a whole. And then you place on the average citizen this another negative connotation, like if you don't support them in their foolishness, then you're a sellout or a coon. So there was always a bad behavior that was supported in the culture, and their defense in support of that bad behavior within that culture was to regard everybody else that's not involved, that's not supportive of that culture. Everybody else is a goofball, lame, punk, other different names, and the coon or the coon or the sellout. When in actuality, like in real life, that's the person, that's the role model. That's the person that people of the community should be modeling themselves after, somebody that pursues and achieves success, on their own personal level, because everybody is different, it's always associated with money and as Pimp C would say, having things. But some people think differently. Some people look a little bit beyond just those things that you can, attain physically, which aren't that hard. You can work more and you can still attain those things. But taking away a focus on getting ahead, increasing your intellect, increasing your value in an open market, like that should be something that is not only valued, but that is pushed. That should be the popular mindset in any community. And it's not a struggle mentality. It's a moving forward with force mentality. Like, this is what I'm going to do because I'm capable of doing it, right? And instead we have the opposite. I'm incapable of doing it. There's no means for me to get ahead. But we have too many examples of people who are successful even in the having things, in a possession of material wealth, or just things in period. There's too many examples of those that came right out of our same ghettos, out of our same hoods and neighborhoods and communities. I like communities myself, but we have the wrong mindset, and we're listening and supporting the wrong people. The folks that should be in the forefront are those who are pushing forward. Put on those little blinders that they put on, and you see directly ahead, not thinking in the sense of safety and security, because that's a big thing with me, because of course you want to use those peripherals, mirrors and stuff of that nature, but just in the mindset of like being laser focused on achieving the goals that you set for yourself, right? That's the culture. That's how all cultures should be. Self-improvement, gaining of knowledge, education, skills, something that's going to promote me in the open market. Being a good person, right? Being intelligent, being respectful, you know, not hollering, cussing, and fussing. Being respectful, knowing how to communicate with people effectively and respectfully, right? Being a person of honor, which where, you know, if you say something, you're going to do it, you know, dependable. Those are things that need to be pushed by the culture, but they're not. So the people that we gave the mic to, the hollerers, fussers, and cussers, back in the 70s, you know, they were stealing hubcaps off cars, stealing cars, breaking in your house, you know, watch you go to work because they didn't work, busting, you know, kicking your rear door in and coming through one of the windows and stealing all your stuff. You know, they're going to wait on you to get it and compile it, and then they're just going to come take it. You know what I mean? The 80s, you know, we involved, you know, the hustles were already out there. They were selling, you know, marijuana heavily in the 70s. You had a few cocaine dealers, a lot of heroin dealers. You know, those people, crack cocaine came, you know, they took on that mantle, got the money, got the material possessions, got the guns. You know, the shooting and killing became a more prominent thing during that time. Now, were they setting the records? No. Like, you know, my hometown, Chicago, their record for homicide was in 1974, which is close to 1,000 at that time. It's like maybe 974 or 981? Close to 1,000, and it probably was over 1,000. We'll talk about fudging numbers later. But you know, you look at that era, you look into the 90s, well, even the 80s. The 80s, the gangster rap started. The gangster rap wasn't to come and turn the culture. The culture already existed. It was talking about it, but what it did is just spread that mindset, you know, and that popularity. Because I mean, everybody wanted to be like, you know, Ice Cube, NWA, DJ Yella, MC Ren, and Dr. Dre, and you know, Snoop Dogg came along. Everybody wanted to be, you know, that type of cool dude. They made being a hood cat kind of ignorant, kind of disrespectful, you know, stay high and drunk. They kind of made that popular. You know what I'm saying? So not to say that it did spread it, but I mean, you're getting that direct line, that direct feed into your mind in the music. And then of course the culture in the movies, the films, we went from the blaxploitation to like a kind of new era of it. Telling a story though, but it's a hood story, you know, and everybody doesn't pick up the right things from films, the things that they should pick up, you know. But the music tells a great story. You look at the 70s, I always talk about that. I grew up on love music, on ballads, you know. And even as a child, you know, like my mindset was loving on a woman, you know. I knew that I wanted a wife and some kids, you know, from listening to that music. You know, fast forward in time, the way the music's changed, it kind of mirrored the culture. The culture changed. The respect was lost. You compare 70s music to late 90s music. You know, you got, you know, disrespectful songs coming from the women and vice versa from the men to the women, you know. No longer is the woman like old honey, you know, referred to in that manner, but, you know, now she's B or H. But that's, again, is a mirror of the society, of the culture. It mirrors the culture, you know. It's like a reinforcement of the culture, basically, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's one that can be reversed, but it has to be reversed in the home. The home is the epicenter of the future of and the present of any community. It is going to come from the home. That's why, you know, you can look at it as propaganda, but, you know, television shows and things of that nature of the 50s, they were pushing that because they wanted to impress upon people's minds of and show them what that looked like. This is what families are. This is how they problem solve. Yes, they have difficulties. The kids do, but they go to their parents. The parents help them to work it out because the parents were once, their age, and they understand a lot of things about life through trial and error or what have you. Now, what is being pushed, but a cultural revolution will look like that. It will look like a reprogramming. The music, it's a free enterprise. People can make what they make, but in the house, you can push a certain type of sound. Everybody that grew up around their parents listening to a certain style of music, when they grew up, they listened to the same. So I had elder brothers and sisters, and they turned me on to the Temptations because that was part of their era. They were kids when that music came out. Then the 70s music was their teen music, right? So I listened to what they listened to, and the music was all about love. And then I had a loving environment, right? So I grew up in a neighborhood plagued by violence, but I had a loving environment and a loving home to come to, a peaceful home. I knew that was love, and I had peace. I had to learn by experience a lot of things, because it wasn't one of those houses where, boom, come here and talk, listen, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that type of upbringing, but I knew I had peace once I got to the house for the most part, right? They need to know what these homes look like. They need to understand how children should be raised, what's good for them and what's bad. They shouldn't know the songs to that WAP song. I think it's WAP, whatever it is. They should know the lyrics to that as a toddler. Maybe as a teenager, what I'm saying, when they're not around you a lot, they listen to radio. But as a toddler, they shouldn't be rapping that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you setting them up. You shouldn't be punching little boys in the chest and telling them not to cry. You know what I mean? It should be a healthy balance where you just don't cry about everything. You learn good and positive ways of handling issues, but I don't blow your chest out, as they used to say back in my day. I blew his chest out. He was trying to be a punk. I said, you ain't no punk, such. Or another one of my favorites, the idiocy of the culture. Hey, somebody, I don't care what they say, something to you crazy, they do something, they step on your foot or anything, you just black out and just go crazy on them. Like, so put no thought toward it. You just snap. And we see it in the behavior because it's taught from the home. It's taught from the home. It's home teaching. We used to say home training back in the day. They don't have any home training. Yes, they do. They have home training to be terrible fellow citizens in our neighborhoods. That's the type of home training they got. They all get training. They just get the wrong training. And watching mom cuss people out, just having a emotional outburst of cussing and acting a fool because something was messed up on her grocery order, or she comes in and she attacks somebody or fights somebody. And then you're reinforcing it with telling them, this is what you do, et cetera, and that's not to mention the trauma that goes on in a lot of the homes. I've been in a lot of them due to the, the demands of my employment. And I've seen it. I've seen it. It's like, oh, this is a perverse culture. This is bad. And, I have a sidebar a lot of times and just let them know, like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. This is what happened. I've seen this. I've been out here long enough to have saw this. This is what happened as a result of that, So then, listen, this is becoming one of the rambling videos. I'm already at 19 minutes. It's supposed to have been short, but just some things I had to get off my mind. So I had to share it. Take the mic back from the hollers, fussers, and cussers and give it to the people who are problem solvers, who are thinkers, right? Start to push things, programs for the kids that are doing something for themselves, that are that are making strides toward independence at a young age, that are focused on being productive citizens in our, world community. Give them those resources and let the other ones look and I mean, that's part of recreating culture. You're rewarding the good and you make the good popular because, oh man, they're doing good. They're, somehow we kind of did the opposite. Oh no, we need to focus everything on the people who are doing bad. So what's the incentive for the good people to continue to do good, right? I kind of make a little common sense, right? But yeah, so yeah, that's it. That's it, man. I mean, I just had a point. It's just that whole, you know, the empty barrel on a truck makes a lot of noise. People used to say back in the day, an empty barrel makes a lot of noise because it's gonna ramble around. When it's full, full of knowledge, full of intellect, full of proper rearing, full of love, full of respect, things of that nature. It sits calmly. It doesn't move. And that can be related directly to life. Like if we raise them and we instill the right things into them, they're sitting on a solid foundation. They have the weight and the balance to stay solid and on a great foundation, and they'll prosper, right? So we got to get back to that. We got to undo, we gotta upend this culture. We gotta turn this junk. Just like when you see like they take a city and turn it upside down, it's just the flat land. Let that be the culture, and let's turn that thing around and dump it on its side. And maybe put some explosives around it and blow it up because it's no good and it's not serving any of us well. And we can do better. Like I've never been a believer that nothing's going to change. That's not true. We're just taking all the wrong steps in order to change it, right? And I've been watching it very closely because this is my life's work. I got over 30 years of anti-violence work. I started at 15. Yeah, so over 40, yeah, a long time, we'll say. A long time. But that's my take on it. And hopefully, I don't know, share this. I'm going to have to say share this. Share this, please. Click it to somebody that think, oh, it's the system. They don't have to believe me, but let them hear something different than the foolishness that's being pushed on television and other media circles. So please share. You don't have to like or subscribe, but please share. And I appreciate you for checking out your boy, Officer Clay. Peace.